Archives of Prasar Bharati presents the timeless treasure of golden era.
A magpie robin airs its feelings about a beautiful day in the garden, then looks back to see why the backup vocalist is not joining in. The reason was that in the summers, the minivet moves to the hills, where flocks of them can be seen in pine forests at heights of up to 6,000 feet. The white-bellied minivet lacks the bright coloring of the scarlet minivet, and unlike the latter, it's more often found in dry forests and thorny scrub. The dark red back and distinctive white rump identify the bay-backed shrike. Its contemplative pose is merely a cover, as its sharp eyes scan the ground for grasshoppers and other such tasty snacks. A somewhat larger and paler shrike is the rufous-backed. Swaying gently on a stalk of reed grass, it looks out for small reptiles and rodents that it impales on thorns and then rips apart with its strong beak. The typical bandit-like mask over the eyes identifies this bird as yet another shrike, in this case the grey shrike. Holding on to a slender branch, it desperately tries to keep its balance as gusts of wind buffet it back and forth. The hot wind blowing across the plains also disturbs an Indian wood shrike in its nest. The acacia sways violently, threatening to dislodge its nest and eggs. The wood shrike is a quiet, unobtrusive little bird, commonly found in scrub forests. It lives on insects that it hunts in trees, in the air, and on the ground. The nesting months of March and April see the bird in a flurry of activity. It often descends to the ground to pick up blades of grass and cobwebs to make its small and very beautiful nest. The nest itself is a broad, shallow cup, composed of fragments of bark and grass, bound together with silky fibers and covered with cobwebs, the finished nest being very compact and neat. Wonder what this group of green bee-eaters are discussing at this treetop summit conference. These slender green birds with long beaks and shining coppery wings are amongst the finest hunters in the air. Normally they can be found perching on trees or telegraph wires, from where they take off every now and then to pick insects out of the air. The birds are socially inclined, preferring 2 or 3 companions. One of the commonest birds of India, they're also one of the most beautiful and not unduly alarmed by human beings. Their flight is free and graceful, and their aerial gymnastics quite astounding. Huddled together against the early morning chill, like a line of schoolchildren at assembly time, the bee-eaters wait for the first rays of sunshine to warm them up. If you've ever been near a river, a village pond, or a lake, or any other body of water, you're likely to have seen this characteristic bird of the Indian plains. Perching quietly in some bush never very far from the water, the white-breasted kingfisher is a brilliant blue-black, maroon and white bird, impossible to miss. It's an easy bird to observe as it sits in one place for long periods, contemplating its navel. Kingfisher nirvana, perhaps. The common kingfisher, also known as the Eurasian kingfisher, is a small, stout bird with a disproportionately large beak and brilliant plumage. It's more of a water bird than the white-breasted kingfisher, and captures its food by plunging obliquely into the water from an overhanging branch. A large expanse of water is where one can find the most active member of the kingfisher clan. The pied kingfisher, here hovering 20 feet above the water in preparation for a dive. That dive was unsuccessful, so the bird flies off noisily, looking for other shoals of fish to practice its diving on. Meanwhile, the white-breasted kingfisher disapproves of such exhausting ways of getting food. The Indian roller, or blue jay, is another typical bird of the Indian plains, found in fields, groves, or open forests. When it's resting, this brown and pale blue bird looks lumpy and heavy, but it reveals its true colours only in flight, as its brilliant two-toned wings flap through the air. The flight is slow and measured, and the bird characteristically swoops upward before alighting on a branch. The bird sits motionless for hours, scanning the countryside from its exposed elevated perch. Its food consists of grasshoppers, crickets, or mice, which the bird dispatches with great economy of movement. When it takes wing, the dramatic transformation of this modest-looking bird is one of the truly remarkable sights of the Indian plains.